Hello, my name is Monica and I'm going to do a DIY kind of tutorial on how to make a steampunk pirate hat. Okay, so this is the pirate hat that I made. I know, I think it's awesome because I mean, what other pirate hat has a ship on it? This is basically what it looks like all the way around. All the makings of a great pirate hat. Okay, now what I did first is I cut out this piece, and how I cut out this piece was I basically just had basically like how it looks. I didn't have paper big enough, so I just got 4 pieces of paper, taped it up, and then I got the fedora. And the fedora actually looked or had the same texture as this. It's kind of really thick, velcro-y. I got it at the 99-cent store on Halloween. It was really good. It was good. I mean, I'm probably going to turn this into something else too. But basically what I did in order to get the measurements and everything, I just measured the length and the width, and then I just put that down like here. You know, just the widest part of the fedora, you know, and the widest side, because it's gonna, what you want the foam to do, because we're gonna add to this like a larger rim so that we can actually do the fold here. It's gonna fold all the way over here, so we want a wider rim to fold over. So you just have to measure it out. Cut out a piece. If you're afraid to cut out, like you're gonna cut out too big, it's not a big deal, because I mean it's paper, you can add to it or whatever. And then what you can also do is just cut out smaller than you already have, and then it should just fit kind of like this over the fedora. And see how mine's kind of ripping? It's not a big deal, because you just want to slight measurement so that you can at least get the foam. So you trace it over the foam, you cut out the foam, and then you put it on the hat. That was a picture of the foam on the hat that I put. I used super glue to tape it onto, or to glue it onto the hat. You have to glue it onto the rim and everything, because I tried using hot glue gun, but it was just a bother. There was a bunch of strands. It really didn't work. Just get super glue and it works perfectly well, and it works much better than hot glue guns, trust me. But then yeah, and then after you get it, you can fold it like this. You can when I cut out the foam, because I realized I got the ship, and see how the ship is kind of wide? I had to make sure that the edge, like this part of the foam, or this part of the hat, was long enough for me to actually fit the ship in while it's folded and everything, so that it's on the hat without, you know, falling off, but the hat will also look good. Okay? And then what I did was I got the fabric, because after you tape or glue the foam onto the hat, you have to get the fabric and then cut out this part. Just use the same template that you use for the foam, and then just go 1/2 inch in, 1/2 inch, and then 1/2 inch out, so that you can fold over the parts that you need. And then when you're like gluing it onto the hat, you just cut like the excess, like just like either V's, you cut into like a V, and then so you can, like, it'll be excess. There will be excess, but you want excess, because otherwise you have like empty space, and you don't want empty space. So this is the fabric that I found. I got a lot. Fabric was probably the more expensive item that I bought. See how this fabric is really light? And this one's kind of dark and splotchy. What I did is I got leather dye or leather color in order to, you can't really see it, but it says dark brown. Yeah, so it's like basically just dark brown. And then what I did is I got like a foam brush and then just dabbed it on, and then I got some paper towels and then just got some water and then just kind of like smushed it all over in order to get the dyeing effect. But I did this after it was on the hat. I did that because I wanted everything to already be sewn and ready for me to, you know, just dye it. It was much easier that way, because otherwise you don't know, because you're going to be cutting the fabric, so you don't know how much you're actually going to be using. So it's better to just, you know, have that for, or just dye it after it's already on the hat. I also bought this, which is kind of like a faux leather. I did not use it on this hat, but it was a good piece. It was on sale, and this is the type of kind of fabric that you want to use to make kind of like a pirate hat, because you can use leather dye and you can use other like paints and stuff to just weather it, or you know, give it a different feel and texture and look, and it's much easier that way. But then so you want to cut out the fabric pieces. After you cut out the fabric pieces, you want to put them on the foam. So you want to put one on top. Let me show you. So let's pretend this is the foam. You want to put the fabric on top. Of course, they're already going to be cut to shape, and then so you put one on top, and then the other piece is going to be on the bottom. And so it's basically just going to look like this. And if you see on the inside, it's folded over. So you want to put the top part, so you want to glue the top fabric on first, on top of the foam, because you can roll it over. Because see how you fold, because you fold this over, you're not actually going to see the inside of the rim, but you are going to see the outside. So you want to have a clean rim like that, otherwise you're going to have a messy rim, because in the inside it's going to be all folded, and you have to like sew it on, because if you just glue it on, it's not going to stay. You actually have to sew the outer edge onto it. The inside, see, that's how, see, I just cut like V's and then I glued it on there. I only had to glue the inside in. If you want to make sure, you can sew it on too. It doesn't really matter. Nobody's going to really see the inside of your hat, but you know, if you want to. So, yeah. But then you have to cut out. Now the tricky part that I found was the actual side of the hat. This was tricky because what I did was I cut out one long strip. That didn't work because it goes like around, so I had to actually put scraps. But as you can see, you can't really see the sides. The more important part is probably just, you know, the top. But the top, all you have to do is measure this out, and then maybe go like a little bit less than half an inch and cut that out, so you can put it over here, so you can put it on top. Because so in order to do the side, I don't really have any suggestions on how to do the side. Maybe just get the fabric. The only way to resolve it is to just basically just get the fabric, lay it over, and then just, it's gonna have to be at a curve, like an opposite curve, like that, in order for it. So it's gonna have to be a curved edge, So like a circle, it's gonna have to be a curved edge to go all the way around. So instead of a straight strip, you have to use a curved strip to go all the way around. And you are gonna have excess, but that's not a big deal. I mean, excess is better because you can just cut it off. But then after you put the top, what I did was I folded it over, like I folded it under, and then I sewed it down. Because glue's not gonna hold it. My fabric was a little bit too thick, so it didn't hold. If you have thinner fabric, it might work, but I suggest just sewing it in. You're gonna need a thick needle because it's actually really hard to do that. And this is the picture of when I was sewing everything. And after you're done putting everything on, like I said, then you want to stain the hat, because then everything's gonna be stained, and then you can go like all over it. And then what you want to do in order to, then you just want to fold the sides over, and then again you're gonna sew it. You're gonna sew it right here, and then you're gonna have to decide how much of it and how much of a bowl you want right here, because you can make this smaller or you can just leave it out wide. I needed it wide because I needed to put the ship in, and I wanted the ship in because it looks cool. But yeah, and then the rest of it is just adding, just little touches. I added a bunch of different feathers. The feathers that I used, is like raven's feathers, some peacock feathers. I like these. These are like dark brown and dark black, or black and brown feathers. These were good. I like these because they were like polka dotty and stuff like that. It looked really interesting. But yeah, that's how the feather work kind of landed on there. I had other types of feathers like this, but I didn't really like how they went with everything else, so I just didn't add them. I also went to like Michael's and stuff and found like skull and bones and stuff. These were plastic. This is all during Halloween. It was all plastic and white, like regular skull and bones. So what I did is I got paint. I got this paint, Americana multi-surface metallic. I got some different ones to to figure out which one would work better. I got that champagne and the chocolate. Chocolate worked really well. Also this other one, this espresso one. I used both of them. I like the darker one because it gave a more metallic feel, but then I used like the other chocolate brown to give it like little specks of lightness to it, and that's what I basically did to that. And then I just glued it on. This I just glued on. It didn't actually. But for the top of the hand, I actually had to sew that on. Just very slight sewing. It didn't have to be perfect. I mean, I don't think it's that. I just sewed it on just in case because I didn't want it to like come off at any point. But I glued the head on, and see that's firm. Other than that, I did this component through. I just grabbed a bunch of gears and nuts and bolts and everything. See, I bought this online. You can get a lot of this stuff. So it's just a bunch of that stuff. A lot of nuts and gears and washers. Washers are pretty cool. Like lock washers. The lock washers look really nice because they look like gears, but they're not actually gears, because it's really actually hard to find gears that are really big, because otherwise they look like this. And this isn't real metal. This is just, plasticky metal colored to look like metal. And they're great for, bigger, if you want bigger gears. So yeah, I just buy this, and you can get that at Michael's or jewelry store or anything. but like usually the gears are going to look like this. Okay, so they're really small. But if you want, you know, just washers work really well for that. If you want to add any other accessories, there's like bead work that you can add. There's chains that you can buy. If you want to go a little bit more intricate, there's a lot of, you know, different color wires depending on your costume and, you know, the fabric choices that you make. But yeah, you just make like little loops that I didn't actually have time, but I was gonna actually make a whole bunch of intricate, you know, stuff with this. But you can also use this to make ear cuffs along with the beadwork and everything. I'm actually going to be making some of these for some of my other costumes. I'm going to be making ear cuffs for some of the other costumes. You know, like you can incorporate this into it. It looks really good because, you know, it has like a nice ear shape, so it'll be on top, and then you can just wrap the wire. And then you can also use just different necklace types that you can get from, like, you know, different stores, from like Hot Topic and stuff. If you want to add that, if you want to add like ribbon and other material to it, that also works. I found this is like a, you know, a chain that I just attached really fast. And then I found these flowers at Michael's. I also used this tool for kind of like a wave effect. And then there's the skull and bones and crossbones and everything. This, again, I just used hot glue to put it on. And these, again, I painted using the metallic paints because they came from a necklace on Halloween. It was really cheap. Just trust me, just get those because they're really nice, and then you can just, you know, put it like that. And then I did also use some metallic paint on the ship to make it look a little worn and a little bit more sparkly. But yeah, it wasn't too hard. Just, you know, just add that stuff into it. I did kind of like a pattern on both sides for that. But my original, I also made like the jacket and the actual costume that I'm using. This is the original jacket that I made for my pirate costume, but I didn't really, it's a little bulky and can get hot during the summer, so I made a different one. Like, this is the jacket that I'm using currently. It's like a crop jacket because I wanted the corset to show. I didn't make this corset. I got it from corsetdeals.com. It looked very cool and very steampunkish, but then, so this is basically what influenced the whole entire other, like, the steampunk kind of feel to it. But then, yeah, I just made the jacket. It's a long sleeve jacket, but it has inner lining. If you're making a jacket, you want inner lining that's really smooth and just really slippery because it actually keeps you cool. I added some, you know, embellishments to the jacket just to keep it in tone with the pirate feel and to integrate it with the brown. I also made my bustle. It's just a bunch of layers of fabric. I just cut out like a U shape like that, and then so they're just a bunch of layers of fabric just sewn together. Just a lot, you know. And then you can add the tool to volumize it. And then I just, you know, made I kind of actually used, this is actually from a shirt material, but yeah. And then, you know, I just made a nice bustle and came out like that. For the costume, I also made dreadlocks. They look like this. It's basically yarn. And what you do is you get you get yarn, and then you string it out you string it out. You get like a bunch of strings. You just like keep folding it and get a bunch of strings depending on the length that you want. And then what you do is you get all the strings and then you twist them until they're very, very tight. Basically what it's gonna look is gonna be like this. Okay. Right? Of course the bottom's gonna be cut, but then the top it's gonna be like a loop. So you wanna, and this is gonna be just like a whole bunch of strings, and then there's gonna be like a whole bunch of strings like in a loop. And then you just wanna cut off the bottom and then twist it, and then you just hold it at the very top, and then you just twist it all the way until it's really, really tight. And then you douse it with water, basically, and then you get a straight iron, and then you burn it. You have to burn it. See how it's like all entangled? So you want it to be like really tight, and then you soak it in water, and then you burn it with the straight iron. And then after you burn it, if you want to include like little things like this in it, like jewelry pieces on top of it, do it while it's freshly made, because otherwise it expands, it gets bigger, and then you can't fit these on. And then the way you attach these is basically, okay, so see this one has like two different jewelry pieces. If I want to make them two like links, I can do that, just, you know, make them two links. And then I get this part, and then I basically put this, like, pretend my fingers are two strands of hair, and then I just start, and then all you have to do is start braiding it. You just start braiding the hair and the piece and the last and the dreadlock together in order for it to stay in your hair, so that it looks like dreadlocks are there. And you can make it different lengths, because if you have short hair, you want short dreadlocks. If you have long hair, you can have long dreadlocks. If you want to do your whole hair in dreadlocks, that's challenging, but, you know, go for it. But yeah, you can just make a lot of those with this simple thread. It's very easy. But yeah, so that's how I made my SteamPunk Pirate Hat. Thanks for watching, and if you guys want any more tutorials, or if you want me to do it from scratch, that sounds great. I am thinking of turning this into another type of steampunk hat, because I have it and I have fabric, like I said. So if you guys have any ideas onto what I should, you know, make this into, I can make it into like a Victorian thing or another steampunk thing. Just leave a comment below, and, you know, we'll see what happens. Thanks.